Hello, Amanda here. I'm so excited to walk you through this training. It's kind of been weeks, months in request. You guys have been asking for this video, and I wanted to just take some space and wrap my head around exactly what I wanted to share with you. And so I'm answering the question today of if I wanted to grow my coaching business right now from maybe having a handful of clients to a full roster, what would I do? I've been having a lot of conversations with you all around like what used to work, doesn't seem to work, things that felt easy to get clients don't feel so easy anymore, or maybe it's you're stuck in this feast and famine. The words I've heard is like referrals like have come easily, but now the well kind of feels like it's dry. How do I replenish it? And so I am going to be sharing exactly what I would do with you if I were in that place. And to be frank, even though I'm years ahead of a handful of clients to growing a roster and our programs are sold out and we have, wait lists for some, the things I'm teaching are the things I'm doing right now. And so what I even have found worked, years ago is different than now. And I left a 10-year career as a high school teacher when my kids were born, stumbled into entrepreneurship. And something I always said when I was a teacher was I'm never going to be a filing cabinet teacher, the kind of teacher who just reaches into the filing cabinet in January, pulls out her lesson plans, and does the exact same thing because that's what she's always done. It's simply not effective. And the reason is the market is shifting. And I know you might be feeling that. We come from COVID, where the online education world has bursts. More people are skeptical. There's coaches coming into the industry who aren't in integrity with themselves. You've maybe even had an experience where you invested in something and then have a little PTSD because the results weren't delivered. And so here we are. We're in this trust recession, and I'm building this recording because I want to show you how to do it differently and the things to think about so you can rise above the noise and be effective. And feel free to put me on like 2x speed. There's a lot I'm going to cover in this because I'm just not going to gatekeep. I want to be super transparent. Feel free to ask me questions along the way. Send me a message. You can literally just email us at support@amanda-walker.com and ask anything that you'd like that comes from this video. I am creating a list of resources as we go. In fact, I'm going to show you the document I'm going to be working from because, again, I want to show you that whatever you put together for your people, it doesn't have to be perfect and have a fancy sales page. But this is literally the notes I've been gathering for this presentation. And you're going to see me pause and add in real time because I just want to serve you at the highest level possible. The first thing I also want to share is that we're at the time of this recording, we're going on 80 plus months of 5-figure revenue at minimums, 6-figure months as well. And what I want you to, the reason I share that is because I am a model of what I teach, and that is consistency. I am not here to have a major launch and then be toast and exhausted for 5 months and have zero clients. I feel the best in my business when there is low pressure and I have constant leads and constant sales coming in. And that's the model for which I'm going to teach you. And I think that there's an issue in the market with kind of this gap between real, true results. And this false promises that exist. So there are coaches out there that are promising you 6 figures in 30 days. And maybe that does happen. And I'm definitely not an example of it. I hit my first 6 figures in my second to third year. And I'm here to show you that that's okay. Slow and steady wins the race, and also fast wins the race. I have students that now get there faster than me because I've learned the lessons and failed and now can teach you faster. So I definitely have students that are making their first 50 and 100K in their first year. They're replacing their salaries. But more importantly, what I care about is that they can do that consistency for a long time and they feel safe to leave jobs and to build revenue. That is really important. And so what I'm going to start with today is actually some of the internal work that is a foundation before I even give you strategy. Because if I just throw strategy at you without like anchoring beliefs underneath it, then what I always call it is whipped cream on poop. You need to have a solid foundation of what's inside in order to build the business that's going to lie on top of it. So the first thing that I want to offer you is that you have to adopt a mindset of success. This isn't if it will work. It is inevitable that it will work. For me, I didn't leave my teaching career and keep saying, and I hear this from students all the time, and I have to call them on it. like, well, if this works out, or I'll just keep this like teaching thing as a backup, right? Because what will happen is that will become your reality. You will believe it's not going to work and it will always be there. So you will move back to it because it is safe. It is safer. It is known. So anytime you're moving out of a new identity and becoming an entrepreneur, like, people don't tell you how to spend your time as an entrepreneur. People don't talk about, I mean, I think people do a lot more, but talk about the discomfort of decision making of the things we need to do. So you have to make a decision right now as you're watching this and moving forward that you are now a scientist of your business and it will work. And all you're going to be doing is tweaking and adjusting variables like a science experiment to get it to work. And for me, it's kind of like parenting. I didn't have kids and think, well, I hope they turn out to be good humans. I said, I'm going to make sure they end up as great humans. I'm going to fail sometimes at the way I approach it, but I'm going to take learnings from that and become a better parent. And so I always tell my clients, we either get sales or we get learnings, and both are a win because we keep getting better. So, first thing is, it has to, like, yeah, success is inevitable for you. And I believe that for you. I'm not the smartest at business. I had no sales or marketing experience coming from being a teacher. And a lot of the things that, or everything that I'm sharing with you is not rooted in textbook, is rooted in real life experience. And I'm giving you this so you can move there faster. So this is 9 years of everything I've learned into what's working now and the most effective methodology. The other thing is you have to be committed to the process, not just the outcome, because there is delayed gratification that you have to get good at. Because sometimes when you just make a post or send a newsletter, it's not one and done. There are going to be people that are passionate voyeurs of your work. They're out there, they're listening, they need you, but it's going to take lots of reps for you to keep showing up for them to finally take action. And that is more true than ever right now when I am recording this. And lastly is that I believe you have to understand that you can make money, or you have to believe that you can make money as a coach. That in fact, people will pay you for your solution. Because if you don't get paid to do this work, then this is just a hobby. And hobbies are exhausting if you're putting a lot of time and energy and there's no return. So it's kind of like a Louis Vuitton bag versus an expensive or a Walmart bag, right? If people are not valuing you and they're paying you nothing or very little, they're going to show up differently than if they're investing. It's an energetic currency that is exchanged. And for it to work out and for you to really love this work and for it to be you not to be a flash in the pan, there needs to be some energy that is exchanged. And I think this is a really important part. To be frank, the first like few months of my coaching business, I charged $50 a month. It was email only coaching. I really didn't know so much of what I was doing, but I knew I had a process that was working. And then very quickly I learned, man, I can't sustain this. I have to take my prices up. And my first big price jump was from $50 a month to $200 a month. And now, to be frank, like my one-to-one coaching per month is about 10, 15 times as much, but that did not happen overnight, right? I got the reps, I grew my pricing, I have testimonials to show for it. And in fact, I'll link to our pages of case studies and testimonials for you to see. And this is inevitable for you too, but it starts by getting paid to do this work so that you can practice the energetic exchange of what's important or what's necessary for you to grow from there. Okay. So those are kind of the beliefs. Now I want to talk about some of the tangible pieces. You have to treat your business like it is a business from the start. This is something that I feel like I've done well from the beginning. And in the beginning, I had multiple other things I was doing. I was coaching CrossFit, I was tutoring, I was working for a family friends company. So I was building this business in the margins. But I committed to an hour a day in the beginning, and that was a non negotiable. At the time, my kids were 3 and 5. I would get up early, and from about 5 to 6 or 6 to 7, depending on the day, I would work and I would show up. And some days I didn't really know what I was supposed to be doing. But I showed up consistently. And then I grew that once I got rid of one of my side gigs to 2 hours to 3 hours. And now pretty much I work 9 to 2 every day. That's been pretty consistent. My kids are grown, but I still want to take them and pick them up from school every day. And this is the kind of design of my business that I really want to live by. And so you have to treat your business like it's a business. It's not if I get time to do it, it's time to treat your business like it's a business and you to be the CEO that your business deserves. Because if you're showing up like it's a side hustle, it will be a side hustle. If you're putting it in the margins, and then you are not going to get the growth that you want. What got you to here, those handful or more of clients, is not going to be what gets you to the next six figures. And part of this is adopting the identity of a CEO, even though you maybe have never been there before, like me. I didn't know. Like, I was a teacher. People told me what to do, people told me what metrics to hit, how to spend my time. And so part of this is a new identity is going to demand that you do things differently. And I think this is critical before you move into the next phase. So this is kind of like the foundational piece. But I'm going to share my screen now and get into some of the nuts and bolts and the things that are really working and that I would do if I were like right where you were, ready to really grow this baby into what it is. Okay, so don't laugh at my drawings, but this is a bottle and this is you. And the struggle that most client or coaches have is that they're in the bottle. So you have all of this coaching experience, you have credentials, you have life experience, but you can't read the label from outside the bottle. And so often what happens is when you go to speak about what you do and talk about your coaching, it's quite unclear to your ideal client because you are too coachy or you are too vague or too general. In fact, this too vague language or too coachiness, I see is the number one reason that coaches actually aren't profitable. And here's what I mean by this specifically. Your clients aren't out there going to Google searching for empowerment coaching or purpose coaching or confidence coaching. That is absolutely not what they're looking for. That language is way too vague. It maybe used to work, but what they're really searching for is the problem that they are struggling with on the day-to-day basis that's keeping them up at night, that's stressing them out all day. It's kind of like the thorn that's stuck in their side or the splinter that's in their foot. It's nagging, it's eating at them, and they are actively seeking a solution. The problem is many of you are speaking like you're a coach and they don't get that coach language. They aren't looking for how to fix their limiting beliefs. They don't even know that they have a limiting belief. It's really showing up in different ways inside of their business. And so the number one place you have to start in order to grow your caseload is to get more specific on the problem you're solving and how you solve it. So I'm going to show you an example of this, and I'm going to use health coaching because it's pretty common, and I find that most people can identify with it. So the old way is talking about like niching. You got to niche down. For me, I reject that. It's confusing to my people, and a lot of people, coaches I talk to, just get so stuck in niching. There's really two ways that you can get better at problem specificity. Even though you're a coach, your coaching business exists to solve a problem. If your client doesn't get and understand that you have a problem that they need to solve, then they are not going to find you or see you as a solution. So for instance, if you are a health coach helping women, that's already getting more clear. You've eliminated the entire population. You've called out women. But if you're a health coach coaching moms, now we get more specific. Where hyper specificity comes in the who is when you can say it's not just moms, it's toddler moms, because I'm really, really good at speaking to the pain points that toddler moms have. The other side of this is the actual problem that you solve. So if you help women get healthy, that's great. But a lot of us are like, what does healthy mean? To some people, it means they want to hike in mountains. To grandparents, it might mean they want to get up and down off the floor. To some people, that's weight loss. So if you can say, okay, but what specifically, and you say, actually, I do help people lose weight. Amazing. Okay, now we're getting more specific in the problem. Let's say that you help people lose weight by creating a 7-day meal plan strategy that they can replicate. Now I know if I struggle to do that part, then you are for me. Now, where the real magic happens is the most profitable coaches land here, where they can be specific on the who and specific in the problem they solve. because this is like the red like through line of your business. If you don't get this part, it makes everything harder than it has to be. Because if I land on your Instagram or your website and it's clear that you're a toddler mom that helps people build out 7-day meal plans, I know right away I'm not for you're not for me. I don't have toddlers. But if it were teenagers and I were struggling with this, then I'd be really interested because my kids are teens. And the brilliant part about this is immediately it qualifies our leads. Now, if you're like, but Amanda, I'm kind of confused on that, or I don't know it yet, that's fine. It's going to come when you put in the work. But the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different outcome. And this is why, if you keep talking about the empowerment work you do and all of this other stuff, it's not that you're not brilliant, it's just that they don't get you. But here's some options. If you can't get into the bottom of these triangles, here's really great news. If you know the specific problem you solve and it's hyper specific, you can be a little bit more general on the who, right? Or vice versa. If you can be super general on the who, you can be more generic on the problem, right? A great example is my client, Angeline. She helps with burnout, which is a very general problem, but her who is specific to speech language pathologists. She's rocking it. Another great example is my client Diana, and she came to me and she was a purpose coach. But over time, purpose is more general. But over time, we were able to get her here. She helps single empty nest moms find their purpose again. We got even more specific over time. We got Diana in this like high profitable space. She helps single empty nest moms create a weekend plan so they're not lonely, because she found that this for her experience and her personal journey and also helping other moms, this is one of their greatest struggles. And so this is why I share that this is one of the most important elements of your process before we get into any more details, is that we need to understand that the basis of your profitability as a coach is being able to talk about the results that you get for your client in a way that makes sense for them. And we do this in all of our programs, to be honest. I'm going to even link here. When I teach my Framework Builder Lab, when I teach my Small Buy Offer, this is the place we start. This is the foundation of even the best damn coach, because I want to make sure that you are building on a strong foundation, because your business exists to solve a problem, and that should be very obvious to your people. Okay, so now that you have your problem, here's how I want to help you kind of unpack the next steps. Are once you've identified your, let me change this to black so it's easier for you guys to see. Once you've identified your problem, then remember that your clients are looking for results. They want to go from problem point A to point Z, let's say, all the way to the end. How do they get there? It's your coaching, but specifically it's your framework. And why I'm so passionate about frameworks is a couple reasons. One, right now in a trust recession, if you're just relying on the framework that your certification gave you, you just blend in to everybody else. And often, let's say you have a breathwork certification, you have a life coaching certification, that is unique to that methodology and that toolbox. The problem that I see with most certifications is they don't teach you differentiation. You come out of that certification like everyone else. But the reality is, people aren't searching for breath work. They're not searching for life coaching. They are searching for the problem that your breath work and your life coaching certification or health coaching certification will solve. So once you know that, you can take kind of this melting pot and build out your own process using that toolbox to build out your framework. The other amazing part about frameworks is that when you have one, it's unique, it's proprietary. Nobody else has it. And it's your way of being a solution for your people. That elevates you, it gives you authority, but it tells your client unconsciously, like, she has a process and a methodology and she gets it. The other piece to this is that when you have a framework, it essentially guarantees results for your clients. And this is part of the industry struggle right now is there's a lot of coaches out there that don't actually have integrity in their results. They don't know how to facilitate results and their results aren't tangible. My students who come through the Framework Builder Lab are next level at facilitation of results because I've taught them how to transition what they do into tangible results. And again, if you want more information, I'll drop the links below on the Framework Builder Lab specifically. And here's the cool part. Once you have a framework, the next step is making sure you have a signature offer. Here's the deal. I made and continue to make multi six figures in my health coaching company and in this company originally before I scaled it into group programs through a 6-month signature one-to-one coaching program. So I am such a fan of having this tried and true bread and butter signature offer that you can walk your clients through that gets them results. And when you have a framework, that offer falls out. So let's say you build your framework and it beautifully falls into 12 sessions. Then I would encourage you to lean into that and build a 12 session signature offer that facilitates that result or something similar. Again, I'm just saying high level in this, but this is the core of having a really sound business. Too often I see people just throwing all this spaghetti at the walls and they're constantly trying new stuff and they're saying, oh, it's the offer is not working. And the answer, the reality is nobody's really getting into your offer. So it's not the offer, it's the way you're messaging the offer, which brings me back to here and what I'm going to talk about next. So this is the foundation and it's built strong when you know the problem, you build a framework as a solution, and your one-to-one offer is built around that. And so this is leading me into like, okay, great, Amanda. I maybe have some of these things or I need some refining, then of course we can talk more about that. But let's talk about you have that, you're going to work on that. How do we actually get more people into our world? And I'm going to walk you through this entire process here. As you can see, I love to draw visuals because I just think it helps articulate the entire things with so much clarity. I'm a visual person. I need to hear it, need to see it. Okay. So when we look at this, I really look at how you're going to move forward now in a 3-step process. Let me pull my notes over to the side too, so I get everything. So the first piece I want you to think about is what I call premium client activation. I don't love the term, honestly, ideal clients anymore. I look at it premium. It's somebody that like is obsessed with your work, is ready for the solution and wants to buy it. So we have to activate them. This is the area that I think many of you have the opportunity to grow in because you just don't know what you don't know. And so when you come into my world, and what's working really well right now is what I call activation language. This is a skill set that you are going to grow and double down on over time. But again, it goes back into that bottle. Oftentimes, when you're talking to your people, you're too coachy or you're trying to sound evolved and they just don't understand you. So, what you have to get really good at right now is speaking their language. So, you don't even have to like reinvent anything. I want you to go out and talk to your ideal client and figure out what are they saying are their pain points. I literally just repurpose what my clients put in our intake forms, or when I get on a sales call with someone and they say, hey, I like the wells run dry. I mean, I said that at the beginning. That's because I've had so many clients say that to me. Or it feels like feast and famine. 1 month is so high, 1 month is so low. So when I talk about my ideal clients' struggles, I use the exact phrases they give to me. That lights up their brain. And then that has them saying, oh my gosh, that's me. And for many of you, this is what you're missing. You're not sure where to put it. You're not sure where to place it. So we actually use this language in our email marketing. Our email marketing is where, for me, is the most effective place to use this language on social media and on our podcast. For me, it's like podcasts and email marketing. Social media is a place that I don't spend a ton of time. It just hasn't proven to be as effective. That doesn't mean that it's not great. I still spend time there. But basically, we're just trying to use language to light them up. And that gives us the feedback. And that gets them like kind of raising a hand and saying, oh my goodness, that's me. I'll even put a link to some of the examples. Let me add this to my document of what I mean by activation language. But I will literally just send a an email to my list that's like, hey, I'm hosting it like something like, hey, if you're struggling with the highs and lows and you want a business where it feels like steady Eddie, I'm hosting a training next week. Just reply back if you want in. It's so simple. And this is what's working right now is people aren't interested in your long old emails that are like a mile long and have 15 calls to action and you're constantly selling. They want to know, hey, she gets me, she gets the language, and we do that through activation. And then what happens is they literally put a hand up so we can start having a conversation. The number one thing you should be tracking in your business are conversations. And yet just today I was teaching in the Framework Builder Lab and a student was like, I just am not getting any traction. And I said, when was the last time you had a conversation with somebody about what you do? And she's like, and I said, in the last 30 days. She said, zero. And I was like, you need a strategy. We have to help you have like conversations because then what happens is you have these conversations and then what you're able to do is qualify your leads. Like, and these conversations could happen in a call, but it could also be in the DMs. It could be on your emails in our support inbox, for example. I'm having these conversations all the time. So when people reply back and are like, "Hey, that's me. I'd love the training," they've literally said to me, "Hey, what you're doing, I'm interested in." And then they come to a training. I teach them, and then I invite them to a sales call or another conversation, right? And multiple touch points right now are what are very effective. And so then what I'm able to do is nurture them. So this is kind of phase one of activating. I'm talking to them using the words that matter. We create conversations and then I'm nurturing them and I'm figuring out what do they need? Do they need a podcast episode? Do they need more content? Do they need a sales call? What is happening there? So this is the base of what is so effective in working right now. Which leads me to the next side, which is what I call the visibility. Oh my gosh, did I spell that right? Visibility accelerator. This foundation over here is working nonstop, and now is the visibility accelerator. And what this is think of it as this is doing the work for you without having a big audience, without having a ton of social media or email list, but it's getting essentially more eyeballs on your business. And what I call this is the first one is the V squared process. I want you to have some sort of value out in the world, piece of free content that is constantly doing work for you while you're on vacation, while you're sleeping, while you're listening to this training. And that piece is solving a specific problem and gets your client like a super tangible win very quickly. So they get to trust you and they're like, oh, she gets me. For us, this is our limited series podcast. I'll actually link to it here so you can see what that looks like. Let me put it in the insert limited podcast link. So my people can find this and listen and they get to know me. It is this piece of content that you're listening right now. We have two kind of primary ones out there that are giving people a taste of what it's like to experience my work. And they're like, is she for me? Is she not? And I'm using activation language, by the way, throughout this because I know your struggles and I want to show you what's possible for you. By the way, I just don't think this is an ebook anymore. I don't think this is a long piece of value or journaling prompts. I try to dissuade my people. Again, those things, and this also isn't like join my free newsletter. There's too much noise. Your resource needs to be very specific to solve a problem that your ideal client has. And usually it's the specific, like the most specific problem. That's why my entire limited series is called How to Get Clients, because it is the most, the highest concerning problem that my client has. And I want to be that solution. The second V comes from what I will call a visibility piece. You should have a constant way that you're getting in front of other people's audiences and leveraging them. So for me, those are being on other people's podcasts and also speaking and teaching in communities and on stages. And I have students in the BDC that have been on that are guests on podcasts and they don't have a podcast of their own. They are guests on podcasts and it's their first one they've ever done and they don't feel ready. They are guests on podcasts and they are getting clients from them because they are getting in front of other people's audiences and serving. And you can do that now. You don't have to have a huge following. You have to understand how to do that, which I teach inside the BDC, and then be consistent and work on relationship building. And I encourage them, pick one and go with it. For me, the main strategy is teaching and speaking. So I put lots of energy into that. The others aren't as critical for me. Podcasting would be, guesting would be a second. And then what this allows you to do is build an entire ecosystem. I'm actually going to pull up a second drawing here. And what I mean by that is it allows you to build a business that has multiple places for touch points. So at the top, we're going to call this the free value piece. This is your social media. This is your podcast guesting that you do, or maybe you have a podcast like me. This is teaching. This is essentially the place where your client like meets you and starts to binge your content. And then this is where you bring them in a little bit closer and you have that free resource that really gets them to like fall in love with you and be like, oh, they're so good. And at the bottom of this would be trust building offers. And I'm going to kind of separate this because I find most effective for my students, especially right now, is that you have like a front end trust building offer that lets them come in and experience like your magic, right? Because once they see you, feel you get results, they want more. So many coaches out there teach high ticket, high ticket. And I'm not saying that's not bad. I definitely want you to have a high ticket, maybe one-to-one program, but sometimes we're not quite ready, right? This is why Costco is so effective. I get to go and try the sample and then I want more of it because it is so good, right? And so this is so important. And when you have this, this allows you to grow your email list, which leads me back to all those activation phrases, right? And they help clients move through this ecosystem and give multiple touch points, which is so important. And so here's trust building offers. And then at the bottom of this is where I actually see confidence in your coaching is so critical and overlooked. The least expensive lead to bring in and the warmest lead is actually a client you already have. And so I see so many coaches just focus on new lead generation. And I'm like, but what about the people under your nose? Are you renewing them? Are you bringing them into more coaching with you? And so this is where I think frameworks are critical in everything you do. When you have consistent framework for your methodology, then you are getting results and your people love you so much. They're creating what I call the 4 R's. More renewals into further coaching, renewals, referrals, raving fans, and then of course revenue. And if you overlook the bottom part of this triangle, then I fear that you're missing out on like stuff that's right under your nose. Something that I teach consistently is what I call the surprise and delight. Like over deliver, nurture them, know where they're at, create ways to track their results, celebrate them, over deliver on things. The surprise and delight is something that we love to do in all of our programs. When I see clients doing really great things, I invite them into bonus coaching sessions to like double down on it. Same way if I see somebody who's kind of been ghosting the and struggling, I invite them in. I love to send gifts. I love to acknowledge because this creates more of the 4 R's. And the last part is the identity of being the best damn coach. It's a belief that I want to be the best for my person possible. right? I'm going to show up in ways for them that I believe that I'm like the best that can solve this problem for them. And this is where kind of the two-part process really that I believe in comes into play is you can't just be a great coach. Like there's a lot of fantastic coaches that have no clients and are poor. That's not enough, right? So we have to work on our coaching mastery, and we also have to develop the skill of being a business owner, right? Entrepreneurship. And where these two things collide for me is that best damn coach place. I really wanted to kind of just show you big picture and revisit this side of the triangle because it is such an important part in the foundation. You probably are actually getting to this video because of my activation language, because of the words that I use that deeply resonate with you, that you're thinking about when you're falling asleep or when you're in the middle of the workday or whatever the case is, that is unique to my client. And so I wanted to show you again and reiterate that the activation language is also what drove me to create this free resource. What drove me to create my limited series podcast. I listened to the words that my ideal client were saying and started to say, like, what are the things that are on repeat? When I do, and you can do this even if you haven't served hundreds of clients, like go back to your most ideal clients and ask them some of the things they think about, the biggest problems that they struggle with, and listen to the words. You don't have to change them. We work smarter and not harder. But how this works is, once someone is activated and they say, hey, yes, that's me, they are either usually asking for your value piece or they heard you on a podcast or when you spoke and they were activated. And so they actually want your value piece. They want the free resource they created, or they want to go right to a sales call and get your support. You sent out an email and your email list replied and said, yes, like, hey, that's me. I'm interested in learning more. And so the activation language actually drives this whole thing, right? It gets your clients interested. They want to have a conversation to learn more about your services. And why I love this so much is my coaches will sometimes, who are new in my world, will say, like, I don't have leads. And the thing is I think you're sitting on lots of clients. You're just not using the words that are powerful enough to get them to say, hey, that's me. Kindle, one of my students, she's a manifestation coach. She just posted last week inside of my community, hey, I want to reiterate Amanda's. I have less than 100 people on my email list. I have less than 200 social media followers. I sent an email that which was based on activation language. It was literally two sentences that I helped her create. One person replied, that person booked a sales call and became her client. So I just want to reiterate that this is the foundation, and this is also where I see so many coaches struggling. But this language is used on your social media. It's used in your email list. It's used on my podcast episodes, but you can also use it on other people's podcast episodes, right? And on your own, obviously, social media platforms. And let's just imagine this grows, right? And you've got all these people commenting on your posts, all these people replying to your inbox messages. Then there are next steps to grow this. You could use ManyChat for automation, which is something that we do. You can move into workshops, right? When you have lots of interest, which is something that we do. So then you add layers to the value piece. So you get more touch points and you build more trust and more rapport. And so I just wanted to come back and talk about how critical this piece is and to show you how it literally feeds into all avenues of your ecosystem. And I had an amazing client, Erica, who, since she's been in my world, she works with high level executives, reducing burnout. She has this beautiful blend of corporate background, yoga background, has all sorts of, I would say, somatic healing modalities. And she said, Amanda, I want to build my value piece and I'm not sure, should I do this or that? And I said, well, Erica, let's try it. We are going to send out and post a couple pieces of activation language. And she had two ideas. And I said, our activation language will answer the question for us. And she shared two things. One clearly got more hits and got more engagement, more comments, more people replying back to her email list. So it actually drove exactly what she needed to create or wanted to create and confirmed for her, which energy was best spent. And here's where I see so many of you are just throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks instead of being intentional and understanding that the key of building a business that really serves your premium client in the best, highest way is learning how to speak with them and get inside their brain, and everything else falls out from that. So if you think this is the roadmap, it's three phases and it's a whole lot of rinse and repeat, to be honest. It's using the language consistently, it's building the ecosystem and giving calls to action and getting more leads into it, and then being really great at coaching. But here's what I know from working with, thousands of coaches is knowing what to do does not always equal to actually implementing it. And the gap exists because of that. It's not that you're not brilliant at what you do, it's that you sometimes need support on writing the activation content that actually converts, or setting up your V squared system, getting feedback from somebody who's been there, having sales conversations with confidence so that you know your conversions, tracking what's working versus like just throwing spaghetti at the walls and spending energy that doesn't always necessarily land into, or end up in needle moving tasks. And so this is exactly what we do inside the Best Damn Coach. This is where I want to help you build out this triangle, because when you do that, you actually fill your client roster consistently. It's the leads are coming in and you're not worried about how to have more conversations. You have content out there that's working for you. You start to serve more clients so you can collect more raving testimonials, more renewals, and that whole ecosystem just starts to work in your favor. So my whole point in recording this video was to kind of show you and outline the exact process that is working right now. I promise you that there are people out there right now searching for the solution that you offer. We just need to help you say it and speak to it in the right way and create trust building touch points and more of them that put you as the authority for the best solution. And I think that you're probably doing a lot of right things, and now it's just time to double down on making them even more awesome. So if you're sitting here thinking, gosh, I need help with this, this is it. I want to implement this right now. I would love to chat more with you about what's happening in your business and how I can support you to get into that full client roster space. You can hop on the phone. My link is in the notes here, but I'm going to say it out loud. Amanda-walker.com/let's chat, LETSCHAT. It's a call. It's free. It's no pressure. We'll map out exactly what's keeping you stuck and create a plan to move forward. And even if we don't work together, you're going to leave with clarity. I promise that. I'm going to be able to see kind of where the gaps exist for you and give you suggestions on how to move ahead. I know that I am not a unicorn. And that's why I wanted to put together this training, is to walk you through the exact things that we're doing so that you can see it's effective, it's working, and to show you that like now it's time for you to go all in. So I'd love again to chat. My link to my calendar is amanda-walker.com/let's chat, LETSCHAT. You can even just send me a message on Instagram if you'd rather just have a DM conversation. But I am here to support you. And I no doubt believe that you are the best damn coach for your people. And I would love to support you in getting there, and just hope that this training was effective in helping you show the opportunity that exists to grow your business now.